So before I get started, there's a few a note of thanks, and I want to highlight a few people that are here. First, a thank you to the Brownsville Church of the Brethren. I believe there's a young lady here. Yes, Joanne. Leanne, I'm sorry. Great group of people to work with. Thank you so much. If you could let those folks know that you work with all this setup here. The reason we're here at this place is a great facility is because of the church. Very, very good people. And there's a few folks here tonight that I want to introduce. Is Dave Mitchell. Dave works out of the design section out of the LaVale District Office. Our district engineer, the boss, if you will, for Western Maryland and State Highway is Tony Crawford. And we have Neil Parrott here. He's the delegate for the area, Delegate Neil Parrott. Thank you for being here. And is it okay if I mention what you do on the side? Sure. Neil is a traffic engineering consultant, and well-versed in traffic engineering. So it's good that you're here, understand all the issues here and the questions being asked and the ideas that we're throwing out. And we just have a new member of our team that just walked in. Casey Keith is in the back. He is the Assistant District Engineer acting for traffic out of the district office. Yeah.
John, can I say a couple of things?
Sure.
Great. First, also, before I get started, of course, Donna Bryson, we know, she's with the Board of Education. She's here tonight.
Okay.
Talk to her. Just tonight, I was here to, first I want to thank you, the State Highway, for you have a different concept, and thank you for the concepts you're going to present tonight. And also want to thank you, everyone who's here, so we can comment and let them know what we feel as the citizens of the community. There are concerns that we've got out there, congestion and safety on US 340, and so I know these what we're attempting to try and address. And so really my role here tonight is I want to listen to what the State Highway has to say, and I want to listen to what all of you have to say, and then after the meeting I want to go back and try and help in any way I can. So
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before I get started, the code was a good idea this morning in school. It's not working too well.
Since I had a chance to talk to a bunch of individuals briefly before we started, which is all good. That's what we're here for. We're here to actually show you what we've been up to, show you what we're recommending, but we're open for new ideas. This ain't the first time we've been here. We've been here probably a couple of years now, working with the locals, looking at options of what we can do to try to improve congestion down here at 340 and 67. To give you a little history, we've also had some interstate meetings with Virginia and West Virginia, because a lot of traffic that comes through 340 is primarily the commuters from primarily West Virginia and Virginia. Delegate Parrott's been instrumental in getting a lot of those, I'll call it 3-state meetings together. There is a planning team that met, I want to say a year ago. We had a public meeting on the West Virginia side. I don't know who was able to attend, but a lot of the issues we know that we got all this traffic of an interstate type 340 coming down in 2 lanes, on a 2-lane road, on a narrow bridge, gets over the narrow section in Virginia, and then it opens once they get back up to Harper's Ferry. We had some recommendations with Virginia about a lot of the issues at Signal on the Harper's Ferry side. We've had some discussions, maybe putting a half signal in there to allow the free, continuous movement of the, I'll call it southbound, probably westbound traffic on 340. That would alleviate a lot of congestion in the evening. We met with them. West Virginia, Virginia's still looking at it. We haven't really had any feedback. No doubt the Paris, we're trying to get some information back. West Virginia is kind of leading the whole planning effort. If you were there are all kinds of ideas. Tunneling, stacking the road, brand new alignment that would cross further west of here with a new bridge. So a lot of these discussions are going on, but a lot of these projects, if anything's they're going to be down the road a long ways. There's a lot of environmental issues you have to look at, a lot of historical issues, and then financial issues. So that being said, we've been meeting with the locals here, trying to come up with some, I call it short-term solutions we can do quick to try to alleviate. We realize we're not going to alleviate all the traffic. That's just nearly impossible unless we do it. But we're trying to kind of make it easier for the locals to get in and out of traffic congestion. Or I think we've also, John's going to go over a lot of what we've been here working on, and I've heard some good ideas tonight that I haven't heard before. I see a lot of people, this is your first time here, so thank you. So we're still opening, I heard a roundabout down here at Keeptress Valley, yeah. So that's really the first I've heard about that concept. I'm sure we looked at signals and studies. Roundabouts have their pluses and minuses, but at least we can consider it, see how it operates. Traffic lights are pretty heavy through here. Neil being a traffic engineer, I mean, he can attest to that. I live off a roundabout up and down that works great, but we don't have the lines you have down here, or the truck traffic. So those are just something, we'll look at everything and come back to you, but we don't have the perfect solution that fits everything. John,
Okay.
I'll turn it.
Okay, as mentioned, 2 years ago in April, I was looking at my files, we had a meeting at the old Wardsville Elementary School. And the focus of that on that meeting was the Sandy Hook folks, the Keeptress folks that live in that Keeptress Sandy Hook area. And we figured that, yes, we have issues out of our state that is difficult for us to control because it's not our state. So we decided in our group in the district that what can we do that we have control over? And that is our section of road in Maryland. So a year after that, like Tony mentioned, there was a larger meeting at the elementary school right up the road here, the active elementary school. And that focus, most of that was focused on the big study that Tony mentioned. And so since that time, 2 years ago and a year ago, we've offered some improvements that we could do, quick bang for your buck improvements to get you folks out to work or wherever and then get you home in the evening as much as possible that we can do that's, of course, safe. So we provided an update 2 years ago. And then, of course, we followed through with some of those improvements, and we want to let you know what we've done and a few items that we have left in the hopper that we're considering. I'm sure you're aware of what's going on with the orange drums out there right now. So with that, as you can see, we'll take a look at what we've completed recently. Now, some of this information I provided, a lot of you folks weren't here at the time, but it's been a while, and I'm just going to refresh that information as well as provide it, of course, to you new folks that are here. Years ago, the group, the Sandy Hook community, came to us, and they couldn't get to that left turn lane to Keeptress. By the way, before I go much further, we've been working on US 340 so much, our team, that we had to identify Keeptress Road West, where Valley Road is, and Keeptress Road East. That's how we separate it. So if I say Keeptress Road West, that's where Valley Road is. East is where the orange drums are. So, Keeptress Road West. People headed to West Virginia, they decided to slip in that left turn lane, go down, take a shortcut, and then dart in. And if you remember, you folks came to us, and so we came up with the idea of these lane separators. You can see in the far distance there where they were just installed recently, and somebody hit the brakes, realizing that they're not going to be able to get back out, as you can see that, and tire marks. And so there's a closer view of it. It's a nice, when they were first placed, a nice white with gray. Now it's a nice white with black tire marks on them, well used. And as these are hit and a number of them they're knocked out, of course, we need to replace those. And that's where maintenance folks come in to help us out with that. Here's another view, the opposite direction, where folks, I'm sure you're still going to have your clown that's going to take this move across here. But I think we've, from what I've heard reports and observations, that that issue has been fairly addressed, fairly significantly. That went away. So, with that, then we move on. A few folks came to us years ago. We don't know if there's a crash or a work zone in Virginia and there's traffic backed up, miles before Sandy Hook, and we can't get home. So we decided to do these That orange sign there with the black screen is, we call them portable variable message signs, or variable message signs. And it offered a real travel time, 15 miles, 15 minutes, or in this case, 15 miles, a half hour. So we placed that, and it seemed to be working well, and we upgraded that, of course, if you go to Frederick, we did the full dynamic message sign. That's in a tune of around $120,000. So that helps out. That gives you some real travel time information. That's that's just above Mount Zion Road there in US 15 and 340. So that seemed to be working well for us. Seems to have been working well. Another issue that came to our way was the acceleration lane, and you're at Keep Tryst Road West, where you would take that right to head toward Frederick, and you didn't have enough room to merge in. And so, as you can see, that right there, that's where the old taper was. And if you've used the road, that we lengthened an acceleration lane for you folks to have an easier, more, a better merge into the traffic. Mainly in the AM, that's probably helping out more than any other time. And then, that's a lot of what we did for a quick bang for your buck. The dynamic message sign, that was pretty expensive. It's working well, so when we saw that the orange portable was working for us. Yeah.
Do you have questions now or later?
I'm going to have a question and answer session later on, but if there's something that's pending that you certainly need to ask, that's fine.
Back in one of your first slides where you showed approaching the white divider,
Yeah.
there's not much signage to warn motorists, especially those coming in for the weekend to get on the Keep Tryst Road or the Sandy Hook Road. There's a lot of individuals that continue to come down the hill when they get to Valley Road, say, oh, this is where I need to turn. Then they make the left turn from the
Okay.
fast lane, creating
Okay.
problems.
So we'll take a note of that. And your name?
Roger, Oxford.
Roger Hofsberger. So additional warning signs of Keep Tryst and Valley Road as you are driving westbound on 340.
Right.
Okay. All right, very good, thanks.
And it's a left turn lane only.
Oh, left turn lane only.
Well, that and as the entrance to Sandy Hook Road or Keep Tryst Road.
Okay,
You have one small sign back there, if you miss it, you don't know what's there. That's why
Okay.
the dividers are all tore up, because people are at the last minute, are saying this is where I need to go and jumping across the barrier.
okay, got it. Yeah, so some advanced warning signs more than what we have now for the left turn
Well, at
lane.
least for Sandy Hook and for Keep Tryst, yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, as you all know, and we covered this 2 years ago, that we were proposing a left turn lane from westbound 340 to Keep Tryst Road East. And I was not privy to the full movement left turn design that was closed up far beyond when I was even working for State Highway. Found that out just a few months ago. With that in mind, we're going to move forward. We have some ideas to address some concerns that have been offered with that left turn movement. We want to get you folks home, and I've sat there in the morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I've sat there at 7 o'clock at night watching traffic. I don't know if you've seen a blue sedan sitting along the road. You think it might be a cop or something. That's me. But
Why they all slowed down.
what's that?
That's why they all slowed down.
Yeah. But I mean, traffic in the evening, traffic is beyond the Frederick County line. And I know you folks are in there trying to get home. So you have another mile, I mean, just to snatch over a mile to get home. So we developed this idea for a left turn lane. So you can then take that left in to Keep Tryst, and you know where you've driven. You take this hairpin turn to get home. So as you see out there, the orange drums, and they're going to finish up the paving. That project is going to be completed somewhere around late October, mid to late October, and if weather is an issue, it may run into early November. So that is going to be, it's very important to stress, that is a left in only, not a left out. And plus, you will have, and I'll provide the design here, you're going to have a real nice long area to get out of the lane at a decent speed while you're in the through lane, and then you have a nice long deceleration length in order to safely approach that left turn maneuver where you're going to have to stop and make that left, right there. No left out, plus you're harbored away from the through traffic, which I believe those were the two main issues from what I'm hearing. Those are the two main issues with safety, when that full movement left was there and there wasn't enough area to get out of the way. So here's a quick design of that. As you're driving westbound, you can see it's a very quick, see that dark line right there, that quick taper? That's where you're going to dip in, and this whole length in through here, a couple hundred feet, will provide you enough length to slow down and then get into that pocket for the left turn movement. Okay?
Do you have white barriers there so people get right back in like they were doing at that intersection?
White barriers?
Those little white.
Come,
Turn
the
like
white
white.
markers.
You mean folks that will be doing the same thing that they're doing at Keep Twist
They were
Road?
doing previously going things and then right back out.
No, we don't.
Not right now.
We don't have that. And we're going, that's a good point. You know, that's something that we may need to remember in that same manner. And that's where observation and performance we adjust as we watch traffic. Yeah, thank you. So I want to thank Dave, by the way. Dave came through and with this design team where the next few slides here where we're going to provide, there was concern about taking that left, that proposed left, okay, and crossing two lanes. So because of maintenance of traffic and the construction of the left turn lane, we had to close that entire lane, as you know, back at Keep Twist Road West, and it's now closed with drums all the way up to where the project is. And we found that the performance of that road, the capacity and the mobility, there wasn't a major hit. We're not seeing a major impact on mobility there. So that's where we're taking a look at the concerns where folks have come to us and they're saying, we're going to have to cross two lanes, and I just don't feel comfortable with crossing two lanes as fast as traffic flows through there. And that's another issue, is the volumes, the two lanes, and the speed. So what we decided was we're going to take a look at striping that lane that's closed now with drums, where we want to stripe that with crosshatching, and then see what happens and see how it performs.
So you're gonna reduce this lane down here.
Here's what we'll do. When you're back, here's Keep Twist Road East.
Let me preface that this is what we're proposing to do. We haven't done anything. That's why we're here tonight, to get your input.
Thank you. So here's Keep Twist Road East. As you know, you drive, and then right here, this is where it opens up to two lanes. So what we're proposing is to extend that. Right now, you know, we already have 3 lanes of a single lane US 340 eastbound now. And we're going to simply, we're not going to take any pavement out. And there's a key point on that I'll get to later. But our idea is to simply place the crosshatching and then to continue that to the Keep Twist Road intersection, Keep Twist Road East, where immediately after you pass Keep Twist Road East, it then opens up to 2 lanes. Yes.
A few things that I would beg for.
Yes.
I mean, really beg for. There's a business at the end of Valley Road. And none of the residents have a problem with the business. We love them. We really do. But we also recognize that they have a lot of people out of the area coming in for amenities. If you could leave part of that left-hand turn lane, because we have to cross 2 lanes of traffic just to get midway. And if you take that lane away, we have no way to turning left, going towards Frederick, to be able to merge into 340
Out of Valley Road.
out of Valley Road.
See, when
If
they
you
go-
could leave us like a merge lane, like you leave, and maybe make it run past where the merge lane on the right comes in. So they're not both merging at the same time. If you could leave us a merge lane, we have nothing. I mean, we have to come across 2 lanes of traffic and then merge into a single lane of people who are probably doing about 65 miles an hour after they leave the bridge. It's been a
Not
nightmare.
only that, you've got people turning left on Valley Road, you have people coming out of Valley Road, you have people coming across Keep Trist to 340 west. You've got on the weekends the buses with the tubers. That's why there's so many accidents there, because people get confused, they don't know who's going.
Don't know who's doing what. Like this morning, I was sitting in the middle for 5 minutes. I timed it, and there were cars that were stacked up along the westbound side trying to make a left turn into Keep Trist. There was cars behind me on Valley Road, and I could not pull out because of now having those barricades there, whereas before, I was using the crosshatch as a merge. So I didn't have to gun my car fishtail out at the last minute in order to get up enough speed to get out. So having those cross hatches before,
Yeah.
I was using that as an acceleration lane.
You're right here, you're talking.
Yes,
Right, right.
because at that
Okay.
point, before, because of the left turn lane into Valley, the people coming from across the bridge didn't have access to that left turn lane. And so, and they didn't have it until they got past that intersection. So it gave us an opportunity to at least come out of Valley Road, turn left, and merge onto 340 while they're coming up
So,
on the right.
and using, to
Right.
use this as a merge, we
Right.
come out of Valley.
Yes, that's what I've always done in the
Right.
past.
That's what everybody
It's the
does.
only way to get out.
You're merging uphill too.
Yes.
So right now, you're basically crossing over existing
Well, they have to,
crosshatch.
because the
No, we
barrels-
don't.
No, we can't
We
now
don't.
because of the barrels. That's
Barrels.
the barrels.
Yeah, but what I mean, I'm sorry,
Yes.
before the drums were there, the
Yes.
barrels were there.
Yeah, I used
You were
the-
using that as a
I
merge
fully
condition.
admit, I used the cross
That's it,
hatches
okay.
as a merge.
All right, we'll take a look at that, definitely.
It would just be so helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, the people who are trying to utilize that business, I mean,
Because right now, as you're traveling here, if there, you won't have vehicles unless, as soon as you cross, you're traveling east, you're coming from Virginia, you may have an occasional person that, if, let's say this is like a little acceleration lane, if you will, merge condition. That could be, we could do something there possibly where you could use that without these folks coming over here.
Yes, right.
We'd have to design that in a way to avoid that conflict.
okay.
But then, of course, then we would still need to merge, have a
Well,
nice long taper.
Either put us further up that we can merge over. Don't make the right-hand lane and the left-hand lane merge at the same time, because that's a.
Oh, you mean this?
People coming
Right.
in Keep
Yeah.
Trist.
Oh,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So extend it, obviously,
At
beyond,
least give us a little bit. And
Yeah.
how much is the-
to avoid that conflict.
Well, the
That's,
speed limit is low.
Yeah, it's.
Can I ask a question?
Enforce the low speed limit.
What's
That's-
causing every accident? Do they know? I mean, there's an accident, there's somebody killed there almost every week, literally killed.
Knock on
What's-
wood, there's nobody been killed there.
we received the fatal reports.
All right,
We
That was
received
the
it
one
the
that
next
caused
day.
it.
The
They
next
haven't
day,
been killed there?
we received
The guys
reports
just
from,
killed there
we
last-
received reports from the state police the next day. And we have not received any reports of fatals there within KC.
We don't want to.
But
Nobody.
it's been years. There was a guy that.
It was just last Christmas.
Yes,
It was, just last Christmas.
Yeah, but it's
Guys
not
killed
everywhere.
there.
It's not everywhere.
There's an accident there every week. What's causing the accidents? What's the study say, what's causing the accident? There's an accident every week. You can ask Mr. Himes, he'll tell you firsthand. There's an accident there every week.
We will take.
We will have to go
What's
back.
causing the
and pull them,
accident?
but
We'll get a fresh study.
That's what everybody's concerned.
We'll order a new crash report for your section. What's your name?
Rick, gets it down?
Rick gets it. If you want to put your name there in the back. We have some cards in the back if you want to add your name and to remind us to make sure that we follow through with the crash reports. With the crash history.
Right.
You know, people come down Keep Trist, and you got that acceleration lane, they've never been schooled that you're supposed to be using it. Money, they come around there and right in traffic.
They do.
I've seen
But-
smoke flying off the tires, people slowing down.
No, this
We can't drive west.
Exactly
Everybody
right.
comes out there, they
We
see that.
we can't.
It was a short lane before we extended it, and the people, they're gonna use it.
Well, it's so funny when you see them coming out.
I know, they can't, they can't.
Okay, we got a couple hands here.
What may help with the right turn, I don't think it would cost that much, is maybe just to paint a couple arrows. You know, a right turn arrow and turning out, just to remind people that there is an acceleration lane there. Because a lot of times people just don't seem to even see it,
Yeah.
right? So if you just
We'll
painted
take
an
a look
arrow,
at
that's a
that.
relatively low-cost
Yeah,
thing that
and
might
that-
help.
We're very cautious with pavement marking arrows. We're very cautious with that. We'll take a look at it. The only concern is that you can have that arrow there on Keeptress Road at the Keeptress Road West lane, but they'll still make the turn they can still make that turn into the through lane. So. And then that may cause confusion more, well, I can't go straight. So.
But if you have a right turn lane, a straight.
And a straight,
Straight
I
arrow,
understand
okay.
that. I knew that was coming.
It's how when you have to think for people, it really is.
And the same note though, we're very careful with pavement marking arrows because first there are maintenance issues. If we put an arrow in every intersection, that's all we do also.
Okay.
And we usually do that unless there's a demonstrated need where people get confused. Usually when you turn out a Keeptress, you know whether you're going to turn right or you're going to go straight.
Back to your original point, could you explain to me the reasoning for extending the cross-hatching all the way down to the new Keeptress Road turn and cutting that one lane down? Because what that does in high traffic times is as they come over that hill and they start down, they're not letting us out right now. They're not letting us out of that exit coming off
67 ramp?
67. I mean, you can get stuck on there for a good long while. And the policeman that sits down at the end, he doesn't do any good because they jam the brakes on as soon as they see him and think they're doing something wrong. And then the whole all panic starts out. But what is the reasoning for taking the cross-hatching all the way down to that?
Okay, well let's go to that. We thought about it hard. This isn't something that we just thought off the cuff, right? And the reason you're here is to help us decide what to do. That's why you're here. So we went through a list of advantages, and I'll go over some disadvantages also. But the decision, the driver decision process is less complex, as you know. A lot of these you already know, but we have to highlight. It's a lot easier to decide whether there's a gap when you're looking to cross one lane as opposed to crossing two lanes, especially at higher speeds. The second bullet, crossing one lane requires less time when making a left turn as opposed to crossing two lanes. Well, that's obvious. One lane, and this is where it gets, this answers your question. One lane has the capacity to carry the current eastbound volumes. And I'm going to see some no horns that are coming out back in people's heads on that one. And mobility should not be affected. Should not be affected. One lane reduction extension is approximately 1
I
mile.
disagree with the mobility statement, because most speed limit there is 55 on the hill. Tractor trailers going 20 miles an hour, which creates a mile-long traffic. So it absolutely,
The tractor trailers.
affects the mobility.
Much slower than 55.
So you have a lot of people doing crazy things, like cut into all these new little ins and outs trying to get around.
Passing in the
Good
acceleration
points,
lane,
but
et cetera.
absolutely.
Good point.
So when traffic backed up, let's say a mile or more, it's going to slow down people making left turns. You can't do it. The traffic code back everybody up. So if you had two lanes everybody could pass, you're more flexible if people making left turns. So I think that's wrong.
Okay. What we looked at were volumes, were a single lane, like a two-lane, two-way, two-lane, two-way roadway. That one lane in one direction has the capacity to carry somewhere around 1,700, 1,800 cars an hour. The volumes on Keeptress Road East, you know it's the AM, that's where it is. Around 1,100, 1,200 an hour. So we see by the numbers,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely. It has-
that,
it has-
yeah,
it just doesn't have mobility.
but the trucks, good point.
You'll have, at times you'll have trucks that slow down. I mean, overall,
It's every day. It's every day.
It's because they're going uphill.
It's every day.
They can't go any faster
Well,
uphill.
they're coming from a traffic signal in Virginia.
Right.
They're coming across a very narrow bridge, and they do slow down, thank
Right.
God. And, but when they hit the bottom of that hill, that's a long, slow
One of the-
acceleration for them.
During construction for this project, one of the observations we made is, I was surprised, that when the traffic coming out of Virginia, they're fine. I didn't realize how, that's why you see.
Unless you're a truck.
No, even trucks, when they get up over that hill, I think MSP's been out there several times. And I think they even got a horse trailer doing 85 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
And
Not believing this.
so that
And I
was one
can
of
tell
the
you what
reasons.
kind of tag was on the back.
I won't say. I used to live in West Virginia. So that was one of the, when we saw that, and, you know, when you're out there building this left turn lane, I stood out there. And I stood out there before we took the left turn lane, and it was pretty
Absolutely.
eye-opening. So one of the options we looked at as far as being able to safely cross those two lanes now, once we set that one single lane up with the barrel, it seemed to work. I guess I hear the truck issue, and I also hear the issue about merging on the 67, which you can understand, you get two volumes down, you shove them into one, it's going to be more traffic. We've been out here looking at it. That's why I asked these guys, watch it, come out here and see how it operates. Do you see these similar issues? Do you see the, so that's why we're here today.
I believe another reason why traffic's so much slower there is there's been a cop there all the time now.
Oh,
He
yeah.
knows, and
Yeah,
everyone
that's
slows
the
down.
only, I could sign it all, I could sign it 10 miles an
I
hour.
would build that man a
It's
house
enforcement.
if he lived at that corner.
And that's one thing we saw, so one of our recommendations going single lane was, it's a lot safer to cross in a single lane than the two. So that's why we're here now looking at it. It looks like it's working, but we need to get your feedback.
I'm afraid it makes that next intersection.
We, another good point on why we were proposing this is, again, where Tony mentioned, we had that lane closed with the drums, and there didn't seem to be any red flags when we observed it, okay? The truck volumes are there, but it's not an I-81 volume truck, it's not an 81 corridor. You know, yeah, you're gonna have some trucks there, but the volume of trucks is not near what, you know, your heavier roads are. But keep in mind, please keep in mind, this is all about you. Everything we're doing, the left turn lane, the idea of the single lane, having you here tonight, the lane separators, this is all to make sure you're safe. We're thinking about this to make sure when you make that left turn movement now, this new left turn movement, we want you to be safe. And that's why we're looking at this single lane, this single lane design. So,
What about the speed limit? Are you gonna reduce that one until you get through all that?
let me get to that. I'll explain what we're doing with the speed.
To address the 67 ramp, and people coming out of Keith Price east, rather than closing just one lane, I hadn't thought about shifting the lane so that, you know, you're using, how can I say, that fast lane and having the slow lane strike so that people coming out of 67 would have a little more acceleration possibility.
Okay. Yeah,
Good point.
yeah, we're looking at that. That's a very good point. And long term, we're looking at doing that. Let me answer the speed question, I'll get to that. Whenever you have one lane, right now we have two 12-foot lanes, and you have to feel more comfortable going down I-70 at, well, I only drive 65 miles an hour, but a lot of people drive 80, and they don't have a problem with that, you know? Because it's two 12-foot lanes with a 10-foot shoulder on one side and 4 on the other. Now, you're going to have one lane, 11 and a half, 12 feet, you know, it's bottom line, it's a restrictive view to a driver. And that does, in the back of a driver's mind, it's not obvious, but it's a subliminal, we call it human factor. It's subliminally, the driver will slow down, and you're not going to be traveling as fast because you don't have that freedom, knowing that I've got all this extra room, I can get out of the way. So, yes, the speed issue is there. We determine speeds. If we put up a lower speed sign, what is it out there? 55?
55.
So if we put up a 50, guess how fast you're going to go?
The same as
The
they've always
same
done.
speed. And studies have shown that time after time. It's called prevailing speed, where traffic will travel as fast as they feel comfortable. And if we reduce the speed, you're actually increasing the hazard where people are, the speed differential
The
is
problem
affecting
that
people
we
driving
have-
too slow.
If we're coming from West Virginia trying to turn left on the valley, certain times of day on the weekends, traffic is moving just fast enough that you have no opening. You cannot make a left turn on the valley because they're just spaced just enough and moving just fast enough that you just can't do it. So we have to go up to 67, come in the back way.
That's what we did.
And that's what I'm worried is going to happen to Keep Trist west, east. Their traffic's going to be going just fast enough, you're going to take that chance, and you're going to have another Valley Road on your hands, on that end.
Well, that's
That's going to be the problem.
That's a concern.
You're crossing a super interstate, you might as well say.
It has an expressway.
15, look at Route
Actually,
15 up through Gettysburg, look at that
It has
mess.
an expressway design, and that's why we're proposing the single lane
But the
design.
single lane, one of the things you gotta consider, most people will be coming, using that, most of the people coming home in the evening, which the eastbound traffic volumes are very low in the evening. It's in the mornings when they're high, so that's one
But
thing
it
you gotta work
moves
at.
just, and that's what we have in evening on Valley, like on the weekends. It's moving just fast enough that you can't, if it's backed up, it's fine. We can turn left because they'll stop and let you through. But there's times that it's moving just fast enough in that single lane that you just can't get through.
And that's why I agree with him that it would having one lane will cause more of a hazard than having two
I
lanes.
think so too.
And
I
I
really
think
do.
it'd be better off to reduce the speed limit.
Reducing the speed limit will do nothing for you.
Well, to enforce it, it will. To enforce it will with speed cameras or whatever, it
But
will.
it's an interstate type design.
Right.
So people are gonna travel. That's what's the problem out there, they're doing 80 miles an hour. Because a lot of it, they're held up all the way from that back up in West Virginia, so, and I didn't,
Past the light.
once they get past that, they open up. But I stood out there and I jumped behind that piece of equipment because they just opened it up. And we
Well,
have
you've
had
seen
that
it.
speed.
Yeah.
And in my years of engineering, the only significant traffic reduction is to have that police presence there all. And that's something we work with the county
Okay,
sheriff
speed
department.
cameras that'll give people tickets.
We don't have speed cameras for tickets in there.
Well, they have photo
Only for maintenance of
enforcement
traffic
in work zones.
situations.
In work zones only. That would have to be through the legislature. I'd like to do. Yeah, right now, we don't have the ability to.
And you know what, the other thing that works that I noticed, when there used to be a mobile sign down there, and it was actually placed on the shoulder, so they couldn't get over and drive on the shoulder too, because they did. And
I know, that's what I was gonna say, I couldn't get home as
Because
fast.
you know, I always dive off of 67, I don't even deal with that anymore. Anyway, when that traffic speed limit reminder was there, I think it made people more conscious of how fast they were going, because their whole focus is, I'm going home.
Okay, so maybe some bold traffic, some bold speed limit signs, is what you're saying, some,
There's ones
Well,
that tell
the
you what
flashing light
speed
is-
you're
Yeah,
traveling.
we do have access to that variable, it's a portable device, I think the county sheriff department.
yeah,
We do randomly place them, we'll work with the
speed
county.
trails.
But you know, those are all just temporary fixes.
But it's all,
It's all temporary. We need to figure out what's going to work for everybody.
We have a hand in the back.
You do
Let me
that.
answer this gentleman's question first. So the speed, if the speed is what it is, they're going to pick it up as soon as the cops are gone. So that's just what it is. We try our best. Maybe we can put up some reinforcement sign. And again, but this single lane will help as a traffic calming measure. Okay, to answer your question about the shifting traffic over into the fast lane, if you will. That idea is being considered, especially when we're at the bridge, the Antietam Creek Bridge. Our initial design was
No, that's Israel Creek.
Creek.
Israel Creek.
Yeah.
Israel Creek, I'm sorry, I'm thinking Appalachian Trail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's the end,
Israel
that's the
Creek.
end. Appalachian Trail. So the initial design, even for the line striping, was right before that bridge, shift that traffic over into that fast lane by about 7 feet. That would provide a 5-foot shoulder on the bridge, and then a 7-foot shoulder on 5 foot on one side and 7 on the other. Bottom line, you're going straight down the bridge instead of being right next to the curving there, or the embankment. And then when you do that, that also will shift traffic away from the Maryland 67 ramp. And also the big one is, we thought the advantage on this one, for the line striping option, is that will provide a lateral separation, because right now, that acceleration lane from Keep Trist Road, well, to and from, the decel to and from, and the acceleration lane at Keep Trist Road East is not very wide. You know, it's very narrow. Right. And so that extra lateral, that separation, we could move that white line, bottom line, we'd have a wider acceleration. We'd have a 12-footer instead of a 10-footer.
Can you extend it?
And we can extend it when we do the restriping, yeah. So that's, those are some ideas that we can do. But right now, because of our limitations with the contract that we have, we're trying to do this line striping under the existing contract, and we're limited to as far as what we can do there right now. All we can do is place new. Okay, this gentleman back here in the back had his hand up.
Okay. Have you determined that once this is completed, traffic is moving eastbound on 340? You come off of 67, you get on the ramp, you step on your car, you hit 55 miles an hour. Can the guy that's making the left-hand turn on Keep Trist Road see the turn, the exit ramp? He's looked up there and seen no traffic coming down 340, but can he see the exit ramp? Has that been determined yet?
I do know.
Is there a 55-mile-an-hour car coming at him?
I'm not sure if he can see the actual ramp, the physical ramp, but I do know that the sight distance is adequate for that speed.
Oh, I go along with you.
It's adequate for a higher speed.
But have you determined that he's sitting there waiting to make his left-hand turn?
And can he see a car
Can
coming
he
out
see the car
of
that's
the
obviously down,
acceleration
you're down
lane?
in one lane, so when you come off of that exit ramp, you're gonna have to nail it. Because you're not getting out if you don't nail it, because they come over that double, whether it's 1 lane or
Right.
10 lanes, they're gonna be doing 65.
Yeah.
So can he see the guy on the exit ramp who's already accelerated at 55 or 60 miles an hour before he pulls out onto 340?
I'll take a look at it. I don't know.
No.
I'll be honest with you.
We have the sight distance is there for 2 lanes. You can see, before we put this lane in, that's when we looked at, can the person turning left on the east Keep Trist have enough time to see the vehicles coming and plenty of time to safely cross 2 lanes? So it's there now.
Right. The sight distance is there. Like I said, it meets, we have criteria, wait a minute, well, we have criteria before we took, like Tony said, before we put this left turn lane in, we were very careful. The number one item is their sight distance. Is there enough room to see a car traveling at the speeds that they take and safely cross
And not
2
too
lanes?
close to speed, the speeds of traffic.
The sight distance is there, but I can't say for a fact that, yes, you can see a car coming out the ramp.
Because they're gonna be coming out of there 55 to 60 miles an hour.
They will be. They will be.
The sight
It's
distance,
all gonna narrow down.
when we look at sight distance, the road's posted 50, but I know people are going 70. I'm going to base it on the highest speed.
Absolutely.
That's, yeah.
Absolutely.
They may be doing 70 coming out
Yeah.
of there.
They go
Absolutely.
80 there now today. I was surprised.
Yep. Yep.
Is there any accommodation for fire and rescue to be able to get through that 1-lane area in the event that there's a collision, any type of accident east of Keep Trist Road?
There will be, we're going to maintain, as for the striping option, the pavement's going to be there. We're going to have that 12-foot stripe lane, and then we will also, I believe there's a 4-foot shoulder there also. And then, of course, there's a 10-foot shoulder, a 9-foot shoulder now on the right, on the slow lane, adjacent to the slow lane, so there's plenty of pavement there.
Even where it crosses Israel Creek? Is that- we've had
When it
trouble-
crosses Israel
That's
Creek,
where-
there's,
that's where I'm-
we're not going to touch that bridge. We're not going to,
Right,
as
no.
far as closing the bridge.
No.
The pavement can't change in the bridge. It is what it is. We have 24 feet. maybe 25 if that. So. Yes, sir.
Got a couple of questions for you. Speaking from the fire department's operated several accidents down there before. The striping on the road is not going to help a thing. Never use that as another lane. I've seen it happen before you put the markers up on 340 westbound. I've seen them come in and take that as another lane until they got down there. We got to the point now, if we work an accident, we shut 340 down because it's unsafe. We cannot work, turn your back on a vehicle that's coming off that hill, coming down. That crossover that you're putting in was there 15 years ago. We had several accidents at that time, bad accidents, that happened to be crossing over where you're putting in this new crossover. I have a big concern because not only now are you turning people off of 340 onto Keeptrist, but if they get off there, it's not going to be just the people who live on Keeptrist, and it's not going to be the people who live on Sandy Hook. You're going to have everybody from West Virginia find out this road, and nothing against people from West Virginia, but they're going to turn on there, and now we're going to have more accidents at 340 in Valley Road and Keeptrist Road, where they're going to try to merge across.
And get back out to get the concern.
So now where do we set?
That's a concern. That's a
A
concern.
lot of people, I have to agree with Ronald.
That's
You
my-
closed that road down 20 years ago for a reason. And I can tell you from the accidents we had back there, and the fables that were people trying to cross over, get on the keep trace. You know, there's no signage back beyond that to slow people down, even tell them that you're going to make a left turn. I guess you're going to put that in at some point. You've got the slower traffic coming up 340, coming across the river, you know, unless you have signage there to tell the slower traffic to move over to that right lane and extend that. With the buses and the additional heavy traffic coming out of Virginia and West Virginia, that will do nothing for you. So unless you open up that turn lane, so now you've just backed up traffic that much more coming out of West Virginia and Virginia on the weekends to a single lane. And if you're going to reduce it coming from Frederick to go into Virginia, we've done the same thing. So now you've got traffic that will back up all the way out to Route 17. You'll never get across.
We're actually not reducing it coming this way. There's still 2 lanes coming.
You still got to come down the hill and around the corner, and then you're going to ask traffic to move over to the left-hand lane with buses and heavy truck traffic to come around that corner. You might as well just tell me where
Well,
you're going to have
we're not going to have a merge condition. We're not, and that was another point is that there is no merge condition. This single lane is an extension of the existing single lane as you cross that bridge, right? You cross the Potomac River, single lane. We're simply extending that existing single lane.
Back up to your picture of the intersection, please.
There?
Okay. So this lane here, you've got striping right there. Okay, so you're gonna leave that closed road.
This is existing.
This lane here is where all your slow traffic needs to be, right here, coming up this.
Right.
This will be the through lane right there where the red is.
And extend this so that people can actually move, because otherwise, when you come out here, you're taking this, and I have to agree with the folks that live in here on Valley Road, this lane needs to be open. Because you got traffic, they're not gonna slow down coming across the bridge.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. We'll definitely
Okay.
take a look at that merge
So,
condition.
and if you leave that lane closed, now you've got slow traffic, you're trying to get traffic to come up here, and these guys are going at full speed, they're not gonna slow down.
Right, it's a through lane.
They're not gonna slow down. So now, you just created a traffic jam right here, and I can tell you, for fire and rescue folks, you just increased our business there.
Wait a minute. Right now, you have a single lane here all the way to this point. Not all the way, but to this point.
To that point.
I mean, that's existing now. There's no change there.
You're gonna need to open this lane up and extend this lane going this way.
Well, you're talking about the merge condition, and that was mentioned earlier. We're going to take a look at that. And yes, we will be, if we do that, point well served, what you're saying is you're introducing a merge condition at this point,
To a single lane.
that,
and
that's,
those
well,
lanes.
we'll probably move it up to this, up to
Down
this area.
here, I mean, coming across the bridge, there needs to be some signs for slower traffic to move to the right lane. Because they're having issues with the trucks and the buses, they're having issues moving up that hill.
But what they were also saying is they're talking about the truck traffic. If you're down to a single lane of truck traffic, that means, and you're gonna have a single lane all the way past Keep Trist East, that means you're gonna have a line of traffic all the way past Bolivar Heights all the time, because now people can't get around trucks.
Right.
So it's single file, we'll never get out. We will never, ever get out, because you're gonna have a single file lane unless the light changes.
I'm sorry, I can't agree with that you will never get out.
You don't live there.
I mean, and,
One thing we've been doing is it's been a single lane, now we're watching it. That's what we're trying to figure out. If it's gonna work, if it's not gonna work, we'll be out there more, trust me, this week and next week.
The weekends is really bad.
It's very, very bad.
We'll be out there potentially this weekend. But it's just, you got, this is a proposal, we didn't say we're committed to it,
Right.
that's why we're listening to your feedback.
we have, again, you're going to have trucks, but the truck volume is not what it is with your other heavier
Well,
roads.
you got trucks and buses, they're gonna pull it because of the tourism activity or other stuff.
And I've seen, my times of the observations that I've been there at hours on end, I've seen, I can count my hand the number of trucks. So mind you, they're there. And you'll have, but I can say this, that, well, no, I can't say that because that was in the two-lane section. Because once that truck opened up the two lanes, they were there.
Well, and that's the piece about that little crosshatch that we had currently before the barrels were up.
Right.
That you could get on the crosshatch and you could just leave the crosshatch and get
Go
on
right
that
into the
two-lane
lane.
road.
Yes.
And nobody was over there yet.
Yeah.
Wait a
So
minute,
you
no.
could just drive
No,
straight.
I did observe it when we had one lane because we had that lane closed. I did observe it while we had those drums out there. And there was not a long queue behind that truck.
Right. Well,
Well, not just in one truck, but there were a few. There may be 4 or 5.
There's a long queue. I use it every morning.
You would know.
Can I go back to another comment by both those gentlemen, just real quick?
We have this guy back here.
Okay.
He's had his
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
raised.
John, I want to advise the other people in the neighborhood, I'm a sergeant of fire police and do traffic control, we have emergency scenes in that area. One of the conditions that you may experience if we have an accident or something near that vicinity of the intersection, I'm going to close that intersection off. If you're coming out of Keith Rice, you're going to have to go up 67 and come back down to go to Charlestown. And if we're working there, it's too unsafe to hold the westbound traffic, stop them in the middle of the hill. They're watching flashing lights and get them to stop in the middle of the hill. Just let one car through creates more of a hazard than letting the traffic come out of Keith Rice, turn right on 67 eastbound, but the 67 come back down. The same thing with Valley Road. Trying to stop traffic, just leave one car come out Valley Road and get over in the westbound lane is tremendous. We've tried stopping cars, and next thing you know, only thing you hear is brake squealing where somebody doesn't pay attention. The people in front of you stop, and they need to stop too. So we just close that intersection down. You have to go up the hill and come around, or come down Valley Road and go to Keith Rice. You have to cross the bridge and come back around
So
too.
then, when they do that, you're affecting two different bus routes that have kids on them that either can't get home or are going to be stuck on 340. Do you really want buses full of kids stuck on 340? My kids happen to ride those buses, and I sure don't. I went and picked mine up the other day when 340 was shut down, because even if they come in the other end of Valley Road, there is nowhere for that bus to turn around to come down and drop those kids off at the very beginning. There's no bus turn.
When the lane is closed, there's problems. And I think there's a power line, was it here, Sunday, there was a power line dropped across the...
I don't know.
Last Thursday.
There's all the things that happen.
Friday was shut down.
Completely shut down.
Yeah. Thursday, we had a...
Yes, sir.
So I take that left, or that right up the hill at 4:30 to 4:45 every morning.
Okay, you take the, I'm sorry.
Right on Keith Rice, then I head right up the hill.
Okay. All right.
So I drive it with a Harley, I drive it with a big F-250 truck and a trailer, and I drive it with a little gas economy car. And I'll tell you right now, the only vehicle I like driving up that hill is my big truck, because it ain't me that's gonna die, it's someone behind me racing up that hill. When I do with my bike, I go up that hill as fast as I can because you can't see the people racing across that bridge and up that hill. In my little car, I get up that thing as fast as I can, and that little rice burner is screaming because you can't see the cars going up the hill. So to me, it's not the big truck, it's the little car racing up that up 340 across that bridge that kind of kills me. So keeping it compacted in one lane, I think it's kind of been worse because now you're all in one lane once you get up to the top of that hill.
Yes, sir. John.
I only got to say something. I think most of you know who I am. I'm 84 years old. I live right in the acres of Valley Road, and it's the worst damn place in this part of the country. And these men won't do a thing. For 18 years, I've been fighting for a stoplight there. And let me tell you, if there was a stoplight there, this man going out would have a chance, and they would see the light coming up. And it ain't gonna block traffic anymore going west to Charlestown to them damn races. It ain't gonna stop them because the light changes green over there, this will be red, then it'll go in behind it, it'll just be a pattern. And all your others are going on, like this gentleman says up the hill, it'll fit in. If you've got a light there, just to slow them up so they can get in. In the school bus, they won't allow it to get down there. And you know, everybody here knows where the school bus goes. We had a meeting here about 2 years ago. Had 2 men from West Virginia, had 2 men from Virginia, and a few from Maryland. And I think you was one of them, I'm not sure. But anyway, the 2 from West Virginia said, why don't you go on with Mr. Holmes's idea and hang the light and see how it works? This gentleman tells me at the 40 cars in 4 hours comes out of Valley Road. Is our lives as important as the rest of the damn bunch?
30 years ago.
So here you are. If you go light there, it only stands to reason. It'll stop up there, but then it'll bleed down here. Look at the light the state of Maryland, us taxpayers paid for down there to warn you that other light's on over in Virginia to slow you up going across the bridge. Now, what's the difference? You're putting the light there. And down there at the end, and another thing, with the light there going up that side right there to keep Twist Road, if you have an accident like this gentleman's talking about, you could feed him right up there and down the other way. No problem at all. And another thing, I'm going to tell you something about 1978. I've been around a long while. And I've got 5 drawings. I started to bring them tonight from Baltimore from prominent men that studied this. And the county commissioners wanted to take them up there and look them over and do something with them, and I've kept them. Anybody wants to look at them, they're down home. But where 67 comes straight down, and you're coming down 67, you're going to turn to get down to 340. On 67 there, they had 2 drawings. They were going to buy the property straight across to Keep Twist. Now you go and spend money down there to kill people going off that bridge, and where you could have went across there and spent a few $1,000s through ground, maybe took one person's house and give them a greater house than they got. And they'd have had a right on Keep Twist to Sandy Hook up around the mountain. They'd have had it to go anywhere. What is this helping here when you put them damn dividers and everything in the middle of, you know, that just like this man said, they're not going to stop. Them little cars, they're just going to go and go. I sit down there and I swear a little bit, but I don't take the Lord's name in vain. I don't make it right. But I sit down there for 25 or 30 cars to buy. And I just say to myself, and she'll say, I wish you'd shut up. Now, what is this going to help if you got a stoplight there? That stuff will stop and wait his turn. Now, I don't care whether you all believe in it or not, but I'm going to fight for it until I die. I'm 84 and I've been doing it 18 years. And all of you, how come the 2 men over in West Virginia stood here in front of the 2 in Maryland and Virginia and said, try Mr. Holmes? Oh, by the way, the farm, they dug in 4 holes, and the Darden Car Company knows what's going on down there. They dug in 4 holes and I let them dump the stuff on there, and they planted them posts the way they're to be planted. for a stoplight. All it has to do is electrical hooked up. Everything is ready to go. And they said, my goodness, why don't you go and try them? If it don't work, what do you got to lose?
Okay, John, thank you for,
Well,
I know we talked before the meeting,
I
and
know.
I tried to explain that, you know, there's
first
there's
one
certain criteria
dies,
that we're bound to.
I'll
Give me
be
a
at the
minute.
head of the bunch.
Well, let me-
First one gets
I
killed
gave
are
you a
them
minute.
kids.
I gave you a minute to talk. Can I talk?
All right, that's
All right.
fine. Go ahead.
We talked before the meeting, and there are certain criteria that we're bound to,
Tell
even to
them
place
about
a sign,
that. Tell 'em.
and to place a crosswalk, and also to place a traffic signal. And we just can't go place a crosswalk or a traffic signal or a sign unless we follow criteria. We're bound by guidelines. And the guidelines that, as far as traffic signals are concerned, is a nationwide recognized criteria. And the volumes for those side legs are not there. Granted, the major legs, we all know, no brainer, they're there for 3/4. But those side legs are not there, and we can't do it. So, I was hoping I'd be able to help you out with that before we talk at the meeting, but that's the answer.
No, God love him, he doesn't actually run this run for me, but it took one person to die on a motorcycle at the, where Pilot is.
I know exactly where you say
And
French
lights
line.
got put up.
No, that is not, there's more to the story than that, and that was not the reason.
There were operational issues there. We were talking about that intersection months before that crash.
Unfortunately, the signal was approved before that accident happened, so it just was coincidence, I don't know.
We have a traffic advisory council. He's online. We have a traffic advisory council. We meet with folks in the county, in the city, and both the schools, enforcement, Mullendorf Sheriff, MSP, Mineral State Police, our county engineering, and state highway. And we were working on that intersection months before that crash occurred. We were making some major changes there. Just to answer that question.
Right now, yeah, unfortunately, the conditions don't warrant a signal. If they warrant a signal, we put a signal. But the signal will also increase the delay.
So then put a circle in.
Circle is something I heard we're gonna go back and look at. I don't know if I have the footprint, but I'll find out. And we'll look at the volume. Sometimes circles are good, but if you got that much traffic in them,
It'll
you
slow
still
them
may
down.
not be able to get out,
But it'll slow
so we'll
them
look
down.
at it.
That's the thing. You're still going to have that.
I love circles. I live off one. They do work.
Okay, I think the first person of the three to raise their hand was this gentleman in the back.
Do you have hourly traffic count for rush hour on Keep Coast Road? How many cars use it during?
Yeah, we have the volumes.
Do you have those figures?
I should have it memorized by now, but I don't.
Yeah, we have numerous traffic counts all hours of the day.
I was just wondering what it was.
Yeah, we have them seasonal every year.
How did we get that information?
Yeah, because we monitor that. We actually have, I think, counters down here that actually tell us where the backups are. And you can look at the speeds. I mean, they go way past 67 Friday nights. Summertime's a big one.
I was just wondering how many
We're
cars
right here.
are used
Yes.
during rush hour.
We have that.
Okay.
I work in Loudoun County, and Loudoun County has instituted traffic circles in several different areas, one being right there at the east end of Hurstville with Main Street and 287, because that was a major bottleneck right there. The other area also is down what we call Gilbert's Corner. There's traffic circles down there. There's actually, 4 of them. Obviously, that takes up a lot of area, but what that's done, you've got 15 and Route 50 intersecting there, and
Very high traffic.
and that appears to be working pretty well. I mean, my understanding, there are still some accidents because people coming east, when they hit that first circle, they're not.
But they're minor. Typically, the crashes at a circle are the minor type.
Yeah. So, but that has worked that area because usually, in the past, it's just been a major backup, like what we're seeing.
Are they double lane circles?
Yes, they are. And they have designated lanes for right-hand turns so you don't get in the circle. So,
Yeah, they're becoming a little more popular on the
right,
East
but
Coast.
just an idea.
This gentleman has been patient.
Have you done any study on what's going to do to the traffic down coming out of Knoxville to merging on 340, so that you're going to have more people wanting to get in that left lane to turn on Keep Trist, and that's a bad place when they come out of Knoxville to get on 340, and this is going to create more traffic in the left lane for them to get out, so it's going to make, you're going to move problem on down that way.
Now, mind you, we're going to open up to 2 lanes right at Keep Trist Road.
Yeah, but this is on back at Knoxville, coming out of Knoxville, coming on to.
Oh, you're on westbound. You're thinking westbound?
Yeah. Because you'll have that merge lane, you don't have much of a lane there anyhow.
Oh, right.
And that traffic coming downhill, now these people are gonna be over in that left lane to get in the merge lane.
You can see,
And-
that's gonna be marked.
So that's
Oh, I
good.
see. So people coming from Knoxville, and they want to take that left in, the new
Well,
left
no,
turn?
they just want to get out on the 340.
You can't see the people who are coming down the
But
hill.
see, the people coming down, most of the locals will know, get over in the right lane because let people come out. But now they're gonna have people wanting to get over the left lane to make that turn.
To make that left turn. Yeah, okay. Wherever you fix a problem, a problem down the road will be.
You can't see.
I'm sorry, I heard his question, but I didn't hear your answer. You're trying to
I'm
get
sorry, what's your name?
Dick Ketzel.
Dick Ketzel.
So if you get out of the Knoxville.
As you're coming out of Knoxville, what I'm hearing is, as folks move over into the right lane, in order to allow folks to merge from Knoxville. And those folks now,
We want to get over the left.
those folks wanting to take this left, the new left turn lane, they're not going to allow that to happen.
Well, they'll allow it, but it could be quite a ballet.
Now, mind you, we're not talking some large volumes using this. Right. How many folks?
Right now, when traffic backs up, people get on 67, cross over 67, and ride that lane all the way out. Similarly, people are now going to turn left.
Is this going to be more people?
People are going to, and everybody seems to have a problem with the Valley Road intersection, seems to be a big issue. And people are going to take this left turn, go up, it's not long, the gentleman said it was long, I go down there all the time to go running, it's not long. And it's going to make it that Valley Road, the traffic backs up there, going back around to use that intersection. It's going to take 15 minutes. It's going to take 15 minutes to get from there to the next intersection. People absolutely do that.
So
It's
what
going to
you do is
increase
you
that
use
volume.
67 and come back.
We come back, no.
I'm saying people are going to take a steep tryst. They're going to turn left there, and they're going to take it to the west down, keep tryst to get back on 340, and keep on going. I'm going to do it, to go straight across it. And then you're going to make that intersection more.
Yeah, I remember, I know there's people here, that a lot of people will go up and cross over to the ramp and come back and get.
That's what I said, that's what people do all the time. So,
local traffic only.
yeah.
No, you can put them up, but
It's not,
well, we don't use them, but they would.
it's not just going to
Make
be.
that other intersection more difficult.
The roads are open in public use.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. I know y'all did a bunch of work down there already on this new turn. But would it have been possible before the crossing the Israel Creek, where traffic comes down and has to bunch in there for Israel Creek, with the way 340 is running now, the 2 lanes, would it have been possible to go in before Israel Creek and put an off ramp over onto 67?
No, we were.
Then people would have run, you could have run, use part of that shoulder to get up onto 67. People that go to Shepherdstown, you could use that, that would cut down some of your traffic down at the bottom
So
of the hill.
you say as you're traveling eastbound?
I'm westbound, out of Frederick County.
Okay.
People are now, you got the shoulder lot up and running up till they get to the bridge. Then
Okay.
they go, okay, we're down to 2 lanes. Now we got to do a lot of merging, which is nothing because nobody wants to let anybody in.
Right.
Then you got a big congestion
All
there.
right. Have merged conditions.
You could put a ramp there that they could have got off and took it up onto 67.
Okay, yeah.
They put the new parking lot in there for some unknown reason.
You can look right there on that, and you can see the grade. It's already on grade. There used to be a road up there.
When they were building that, they
Years
had
back,
that.
there was a road up that hill.
One thing to keep in mind that what we're looking at for what we can do with the local roads, so with the low cost improvements, those things are gonna be, we can still look at them in the future, but
But you're still
two,
looking.
2 years ago, the state of Maryland was broke. Now we seem to get me more money, so we're starting to look more at those projects. So I remember this gentleman talked about all those, yeah, they've had studies down here, they actually had an interchange design, keep trips at one time. But the cost of that was just so cost prohibitive for the area, but there's studies, and we can still entertain that flyover. I know what you're talking about, it's why they're raising.
Yeah, right here's where the old road was.
Where would that take you, though? Where would that take you? Where would that take you?
Yeah,
but where would you go from
No,
there?
you're talking about,
Well, you'd have to put,
flyover
Put a
right
bridge in.
Yeah, you'd have to widen a little bit.
If you widen the bridge, then you can still use the same exit getting off.
Yeah,
But the big thing is you have people getting off
So
340 now.
mind you, what we're trying to do here, we're trying to do bang for your buck improvements. And now you're talking mega $1 million. That's a mega $1 million improvement. Possible, but you're talking the funding, to qualify for the funding, not be a challenge. This,
Where else in the county do you have a congestion problem like this?
sir?
Where else in the county do you have an issue with traffic?
70 every evening coming through.
Oh, yeah.
70 on Fridays, 81 almost every day.
Yeah, the congestion here, we all know why. It's not because of the Maryland traffic, it's because of all the commuters.
Edgewood Drive at 40, we have it. It's everywhere.
And then once you get up into Frederick County, every one of the community will see it, 270.
And again, I need to stress that,
But one thing to consider, in the rural setting, you don't see, this is not typical, you don't see this type of congestion in rural settings.
and that's the key, that's the key. When you're in Hagerstown, and you're on 70, at 81, you expect it.
Yeah.
But when you're out in this beautiful, nice rural area, it's not acceptable. It's hard to accept. And it's there, it's
a
Charleston.
bottleneck. It's a bottleneck.
Charleston with a 6% growth rate for the past 12 years.
That's Charlestown.
Charlestown, excuse me.
Charleston's a little further
It's a
south.
couple hours out.
I have a question for you.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Eastbound 340, just below where you see the curve there?
Wait a minute.
Curve. Below,
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Are you doing anything, you're talking about, bang for your buck, are you doing anything about, where the people hybrid plane there, and that's where most of our accidents are, if there's a bad if there's a bad storm or just a little bit of heavy rain, right through there, people hybrid plane.
Going eastbound?
Eastbound.
Yeah.
Eastbound? This is the first I've heard of that.
Mostly eastbound, just below the where you see the bend in the road.
You see the water ponds?
Yeah.
I got some.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, we will.
That's why designers here.
But here we're back.
I'm glad you said that, because that's the first I've heard.
We're back, and we'll take a look at the way the road slopes there. I think we're back to, again, a speed issue.
It's probably not.
Folks are not slowing down when it rains. We had this gentleman, somebody back here had their hand raised.
I had two things where I want to go back to that Knoxville, because I used to do the MARC training, and because of parking limitations, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia side, it's much easier to go to Brunswick because of space availability to catch an MARC train. But coming out in the evening, when you're on that Knoxville exit, you're trying to get out on the 340. It's blind. You can't see the traffic coming behind you. And now what you're going to do is you're going to have people wanting to get to the left, to get to the key
take the
place,
left turn.
to make the left, whereas other people are trying to get to the right.
So,
we
we try to fix the situation to help you out here, and down the road, we're gonna cause another way.
I mean, you understand, people are trying to get right.
This gentleman over here mentioned the same thing.
And I just make sure you understand that. Look at it.
Once we open it up and we see it operate, these kind of issues will pop up. And if it's glaring, well, then we need to work on those issues. But right now, we need to see how it's going to work. That's the main thing that we're asking that you help us with that is, let's see how it operates.
Well, I just want to make sure it's kind of on your radar screen.
Yeah, sure, okay.
So you can watch.
Yes, sir, yeah. That is, as a matter of fact, that's in a different district. It's still on. That's not part of it.
That's another state, right?
Everyone's too funny.
I know the guys who live on that side of the road.
I wanted to make another comment regarding truck traffic, because I've been around here for 40 years. And what I tell you is, there is more increased truck traffic, in my opinion, because trucks avoid 70 and 81 when the weigh stations are open. We're seeing the truck traffic through the gap when the weigh stations are limiting trucks on those two corridors. And they know when those stations are open, and you got to admit, from Frederick to Martinsburg, there is no weigh station.
Okay.
Only temporary travel.
That's a good point. Okay,
What results of your road test,
sir?
surface tension?
Friction test.
Your friction test?
We don't have any wet surface problem on 340 that's been identified.
We don't, yeah. I mean, well, we can take a look at the crash report and see if we see if there's a wet surface, a high crash rate with wet surfaces here.
Every year we actually, State Highway looks at all the crashes along every segment of roadway. And we actually, if we look at the severity rate and the number, and if they meet a certain criteria, we get high accident intersections or candidate safety intersections, candidate safety segments. That hasn't shown up here yet, but we have an air rain, which is this big old device yellow that tests the friction number of the pavement. It rides every road every year, so what we'll do, we'll go back and pull the wet, especially in this eastbound 340 from what I'm hearing. And it may be just ponding, huh?
What's the number that you're looking at? You keep saying high, but what's that number?
It's a comparison of the statewide average. They looked at all the crashes that happened across the state, they put them together, and then there's a cutoff number at the top.
And you got primary, secondaries.
Because it changes every year, depending on how many accidents, how many million vehicle miles travel on each road.
It's a number, if we throw it out to you, I wouldn't know myself.
That being said, we also look at our own district's crashes. I don't need some data that comes out a year later telling me you have an accident pattern if we have. So we just don't go by that. We live here, most of us live in Western Maryland, we look at those things. And we do have some crashes here. Somebody said week, I don't know if we're weekly, so that's why we've been here looking at what we can do to improve it. But the problem with this location is that it's a rural setting and you have so many, cars going today, coming through here to go home every day, and just bottlenecks. That bridge bottlenecks, there's nothing we're going to do with that bridge in my lifetime, I know, because it sits on a historic property, it goes across the river. Once you get on the other side of the river, what do you have? Cliff on one side and the river on the other. It's very restrictive what you can do. Now, I know West Virginia and Maryland and Virginia's been meeting, looking at alternate alignments with new bridges, but with that comes, especially if you do a new alignment, you're going to be displacing some people. And it's also going to cost a significant amount of money to do a river crossing. So that's still being headed by West Virginia. I haven't got an update. I don't know if you have, Delhi, recently.
Okay.
But that's long term.
Okay.
Yes. I was just wondering if it's been considered to slow down the traffic coming off of the bridge from Charlestown up the hill to pass that Valley intersection. You know, the rumble strips or whatever they did on 15 North at Frederick and Hayward Road, where you drive over the highway at 50, 55 and you go, brrr, you should slow down because you've got that physical feel.
How's it sound?
It does, but it slows people down. And people on 15 North and South going through that Hayward Road interchange in Frederick have slowed down because they dug those trenches across the highway.
But they also have the visual sign.
Yes,
a
and they
mile
have
back
visual
from that.
signs that really
It
warn
says
you.
50 miles an hour that flashes at you.
Yep.
And it's permanent.
Yeah.
Is this in Virginia or
Maryland. Maryland, Frederick, Maryland, Frederick. Hayward Road.
15.
Just north of Frederick.
Rumble strips.
Yeah.
But we also heard about a flash.
Yeah, they have allowed 15.
Right above the barn.
It's only,
Coming from Thurmont.
it's the first interchange.
From Thurmont
First
to
acrobatic
Frederick.
intersection when you pass the
Frederick,
interchanges
they
in
dug
Frederick.
all these
Going
grooves
north.
across the highway.
That's also where the sign flashing lights.
They call it a safety corridor.
Just rumble strips.
Yeah, I don't know what they
They
did.
lowered it to 50 mile an hour, and then they had an overhead visual sign to alert you to your speed, and then the rubble strips followed from the intersection.
I gotta get out of this district.
Okay, yes,
I have a different question.
I
I
have
live in Pleasant Valley. I very frequently go south on 67, get onto 340, get onto Keatrice Road East. I'm a volunteer for the National Park Service, so I go there to park to do my duty. I also use it for recreation. I see a lot of people there. It's a recreational road, in my opinion. And I think people are going to be dead. People park on the dirt shoulders to use it. Also, as I come around, Keatrice Road East is a short distance from 67 ramp off. Is there going to be a warning sign for bicyclists, which are allowed to use that area, for motorcyclists? Cars don't book for motorcycles and bicycles that way. They may be T-boning these people spitting over to Keep Trist East. So how's Keep Trist Road gonna be upkept, all weather conditions? Are we gonna be making amends for recreational, the tourist money for our area?
The Keep Trist Road itself, you're saying,
Right.
and the,
I want a warning sign to tell people, watch out for crossover from the left. I think
Chris
these
Road can't
communities,
handle any volume. You guys should know that.
that's a county facility, we'll have to mention that, right?
It's at the hairpin turn is where she's talking, because a lot of people park there.
and
Access the towpath, walk across the little rail crossing there at Weaverton. You take your bike across, you take your dog across, you go there and you go for a walk, you know, and we all park along that
It's
area.
almost treated like a parking
For
lot.
recreation.
even though it's a road.
I know what you're talking about, right at the very, well, it's not.
Yeah, it's at the hairpin turn.
Yeah, I know.
and it's before that, I keep a count on my NPS records. I count how many cars are there at what time. They're on the curb and they are up the road on Keep Trist East.
Right.
On both sides of the road. You
Yeah.
have kids jumping out to go on a hike, Girl Scout troops, Boy Scouts.
Yeah, they treat it like it's the parking lot, just, yeah.
Thank you. Very good. Oh, we have a couple more people here.
Yeah, just real quick, on 340 over Israel Creek, or whatever creek it is, there's no guardrails on 340. And recently there was an accident, maybe a couple months ago, where there was a head-on because of the hydroplane, whatever, they went over the road.
Yeah, it's
Do you think they should put guardrails up across that road?
I think we are doing it.
Oh, you are?
It is in the works.
Okay. And further down, maybe all the way down to Keep Trist also, because there is a median there, but
It's a narrow median, I think they looked at, I don't know what's. We're gonna start going.
Yeah, I don't know the exact locations, but I know there's a significant portion of 340 that's going to have a double-face guardrail.
good, that's good.
That should.
Head-ons from happening.
In my idea, in my mind, I did some field work for the folks that are, these folks. I think it's from 67 to Keep Trist West. I think so.
So maybe all the way down.
Yes.
A lot's been said about the speed limit coming out of West Virginia. If you're observant, there is a speed limit sign on the bridge that is 45 miles per hour. That speed limit does not change until you get past Keep Trist Road. So
Keep
it's a
Trist Road West.
Yeah.
West.
Correct.
It's east. Well, the east, the west. Keep Trist, yeah, east.
Coming from the Valley Road. That's Valley
It
Road.
does not, the speed limit does not change until you get there. So there's nothing you're gonna do. It's been listed at 45, so if they don't pay attention to 45 now, putting other signs up is not gonna help because it doesn't change until past there. But
I said that about an hour ago. You put a sign up, no matter what that number is, those folks are going to drive what they can drive, what they feel comfortable with.
Or if you did the grooves in the road and make them.
Go ahead, let her finish.
You have a cabin where the grooves
I
are,
have something
wherever
else
it
that
is
I
near
wanted
that
to
road,
ask that's not
you're gonna hear
related
those
to
grooves.
speed
Okay.
limit. I was at the last meeting at Pleasant Valley. Yeah, when Pleasant Valley School.
Oh,
When they
okay,
were
about a year
designing-
ago.
Yeah, when they
When
were
we talked about the
designing all
study.
this. And one of the things that was suggested there, and I had agreed to it, or I had endorsed someone that said it, was extending the deceleration lane to Valley Road up the hill a little farther. Because any of us come, I live on Valley Road. If you're coming down, which is westbound,
We were supposed to do that.
yeah,
We haven't?
no, you haven't.
That was coming
Because all
towards
that costs is a little
Virginia.
bit of paint.
Yeah, we were gonna extend the deceleration lane, that was
Yeah,
part.
farther up the
We'll
hill.
follow up with that. That was-
Especially in the winter, if you have bad weather.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got somebody, I know it's a 45-mile-an-hour limit, but people don't come down there 45 miles because
Especially if
if
they have a
you do,
horse
they're
deal.
right on your bumper blowing the horn.
Okay.
And you don't have enough room to get over and really, get slowed down enough to make the turn with
We'll
everybody
do
on
it.
the bumper.
Okay, we're gonna extend the acceleration lane, and also extend the deceleration lane.
Yeah.
We'll follow up.
Yes, we can do that.
Can it connect all the way to 67, or is that too far?
And the payment
And then
section.
what, you know what's gonna happen, people will use that. and
Yeah, even if it's up to the top where it goes into
Yeah.
Sandy Hook and have it going into Valley Road and Sandy Hook at the same time.
Keep in mind that shoulders are not deep enough are not as deep as main line, to save money. If we paved all the shoulders, pavement's this deep, on your main line, and shoulders are, we're talking 4 inches. Wait a minute. I'm fairly certain that I can extend it without touching the weak pavement, about at least 200, if not maybe 300.
So that would be great.
I can do that. I know the pavement is there.
There was one question said earlier about 67. If you're going to go down to one lane, can we get the exit to 67 over Israel Creek? In other words, extend the on-ramp to 67 over, no, just, they're going to be one lane. The road's there. You're going to use the existing road. You're going to shift the lane over and give us an exit to 67 before we get to Israel Creek. Because now we can't, when traffic stops, we can't get to 67 because we can't get past the bridge.
But there's only 2 lanes on that
They're
side
going to
of the
have
bridge.
it one lane, that's what we're saying.
If
We're
part-
going to be one lane.
Hold on, part of the option was potentially, we're here to get your feedback.
Right.
We haven't
Right,
committed to doing anything yet.
right.
All right, so if we were to look at that option, yeah, one of them was if it's going to be one lane, you're going to shift it over.
Right.
To give you more room to separate the on-ramp so that we can also extend that, give you a little bit of shoulder on Israel Creek.
To get up to
Yeah,
67.
that's if we go that way.
But you're talking westbound.
Huh?
Are you talking
I'm
westbound?
talking westbound.
He's talking westbound.
I'm talking westbound right now.
Going towards
Charlestown.
Going towards Charlestown.
Charlestown.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going towards.
No, I'm going towards
I know, that's
Charlestown.
okay, that's
You and me
okay.
are on the same page. but
No, the reason we can't do that is the bridge restricts the ability.
There's only 2 lanes.
We
But you're
can't.
going to be down to one lane. You're saying you're going to put
No,
one
no,
lane.
not westbound. No, not westbound. We're only doing, this is for
That's eastbound, I know. I thought you were going after the westbound.
No.
Why can't we do that on westbound? Take it to one lane.
Oh.
you're just going to push it
No,
back.
it's gonna make the traffic.
It's listed one lane now, so what difference is it?
We're not gonna go.
On top of the hill.
Because we need that capacity. Right now, we shift the traffic or merge the traffic at the closest point as possible to that's safe, right there, where Keetrus Road West is. If we extend that single lane back to past 67, that traffic is going to back up for 5 miles instead of 2 miles.
But it will be in Frederick County, which we don't care.
We are.
Just kidding.
We're
That was a
sitting
joke.
in-
That was a joke.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You're saying that signs don't work very well, but I'm wondering for eastbound traffic coming across the Potomac River Bridge, an electronic sign that says speed limit and then your speed.
Yeah, the speed trailers, and we mentioned that. We don't have the wherewithal to provide them on a permanent basis. We borrow them from the Washington County Roads Department. Ed Plank is the gentleman I work with in our traffic advisory council. He has 1, maybe 2. We can borrow them for a short period of time, but what'll happen? It'll slow them down for a month after that. Maybe even sooner they'll just
Yeah,
pick
that's
it
what we're
back
saying
up.
about Hayward Road. There is one in Maryland, permanent. There at Hayward Road in Frederick.
Is there a lot of significant operational issues in Raymond?
Yes.
Oh, there was accidents there. It was one fatality after the other.
And we can look at what they did there.
High fatality, Hayward Road was a high fatality interchange. And they actually had a camera there, a speed camera there, an enforcement camera. And they took the camera away and left the sign. So that is doable, what these folks are saying, at least in Frederick County. Now, to come over here to this side of the line here, you're only talking a mile or less.
Now, keep in mind,
To do the same thing.
what-
Now, people will get used to that sign, and they will, and what you're
People
saying,
got it.
you're gonna put it on the shoulder, it'll slow people down until they get used to it. There's not enough, trust me, there are not enough law enforcement officers to sit there and manage the traffic flow in that area.
Yes, sir.
There's not enough folks to go around to do what you're asking to do. So,
Understood.
we keep getting on this teeter-totter, and we go back and forth, back and forth. And some of the things that you're putting in, we already seen it. It's been here, it was 20 years ago. We've already seen it. So, the accidents are gonna go up. we're gonna get a little busier. It may ease the flow for folks getting in and out of their residences here, but you're gonna make our job hard.
Okay,
What number do I call to get the traffic flow count, left turn only, westbound 340 onto Keep Trist West? I have never seen a backup there.
the,
The left
you
turn
wanna-
only.
Westbound through.
On westbound 340, there's left turn only onto Keep Trist, so people go to Keep Trist or Sandy Hook.
Right.
I have never seen a backup there. I've seen a short backup, but nothing past the post.
no,
Right.
well,
For one thing,
The article's incorrect. The
Pardon?
spokeswoman misquoted. I asked this gentleman about that.
Oh, that was a
That's
misquote.
well,
I
I don't know
was
if it's a
thinking,
misquote.
why
That was
do
her
all
quote.
this work for the 10 cars at the most I've ever seen
That was-
to make the left turn?
because the volumes are more than 10. I don't remember.
No, I
the
said I've
number.
never seen a
never seen it.
backup, and I've never had a problem making.
There's not a backup, there's not a backup.
Because one place I read, they called it a backup to make it.
We'd like to see the
Yeah.
vote.
There's not a backup on that left turn lane. You're
That's just
absolutely
it
right.
on your side.
However, we're placing that left turn lane now, so those folks that do need to get home in the Keep Trist, Sandy Hook area, they can now get home a lot sooner than what they are now. That's what.
And what you're gonna find is when you open that lane up, that people are gonna start going that way because they think it's an easier way.
It's a shortcut.
to get to the bridge.
It's a shortcut.
Exactly what you're create.
And we'll see if that happens, then we'll just have to, we'll have to take a look at what to do.
You'll have cars in the middle of 340 trying to get across the Keep Trist.
Let's see how it operates. I saw it myself. I saw it. There are people that are going to take that shortcut, as they did with the left turn lane when we put those lane separators. They're going to be doing the same thing.
I don't give it 2 weeks for you, every first major accident there.
I hope not. Yes, sir.
John, is it possible to put another sign on 340?
Whoa, wait a minute, we have someone talking here. Go ahead.
A lot of areas in the state where the two lanes merge, you have signs that say alternate merge, or form one line. There's no signs of such on 340.
Yeah, that's for westbound, you mean?
Yes, if you travel on 340 on Thursday or Friday nights, you'll find tractor trailers or individuals that will ride in the center of the roadway, totally block the left lane,
Yeah.
or run you out of the left lane.
You're going to have, that suggestion was thrown our way a couple years ago, maybe a little over a year ago. Thought about it. What happened is, right now we have 67 southbound, the entrance ramp from 67 to Keep Trist, 340 west, and that merge condition from the ramp and having that alternate route or alternate merge, you're going to have people fighting more than what you are now. Well, when you put those two movements plus that ramp condition. Right now, we try to restrict the movement to one merge rather than a combined merge. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah,
That's
most
why
of
the
the
combined
combined
merge,
merges
that's why
are
we decided
lanes.
against it.
You
We
have
look
one
at
or
it.
two ramps merge into, 2 lanes merge into one. And then they
At
tend
the
to
same
alternate
time.
a short distance.
Yeah. Right now, we have
I've
a
never
drop,
seen that
a lane
interstate.
drop condition. It's a lane, right now we have a lane drop, where you have to push over into the
You
existing.
still have those people that's gonna ride, fly down the road. I always stay in the left lane because I'm just, I guess, honest, but, people still flying the right and cutting and just.
Yeah. You're going to introduce more of a fight than what you have now. Especially with
It
that
wouldn't
ramp
change
from
it.
67.
Just to add to what he just said, I drive tractor and trailer for a living. And you get out on the turnpikes, you have the same thing, you got their work zone signs up, merge right. Everybody runs out of that lane down to that last inch. And then traffic comes to stop the cars. Why is it stopping? Well, you wouldn't merge in when you had a chance to merge in. You went down to, it's like a funnel, you're trying to put rocks through it.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work.
It's a human nature, they'll always cheat.
I can get 5 feet ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
You drive in DC, you find out that traffic technique real quick.
Yeah.
Don't never merge over, stay in that one.
I'm the honest guy sitting back waiting, so that's the way I am, I guess.
Okay, we covered a lot of territory tonight. Thanks for coming out, and If there's anything else, are there any other ideas that can be thrown away? We had a lot of good ideas thrown away here.
Let me ask you one thing. I mentioned before, like Marlboro, and I don't know where West Virginia stands on it, but I know there has been a partnership between Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. Is there any talk of, again, making improvements across the bridge to help that West Virginia traffic get to DC rather than having to use the road?
The Potomac River Bridge?
Yeah, we had that one time.
Are you talking about the Potomac River Bridge?
Well, just the whole traffic pattern coming out of West Virginia that adds to this problem we're talking here.
No, we're not aware of anything in the works for improvements of any magnitude that would make an impact on mobility.
I was in Maine a couple years ago, brought up something about having one of those signs put up. I know it's not your county, but putting it, and they put one in on your Frederick, with big signs, tell people traffic's backed up. Putting one right before Brunswick for people going westbound, let them know there is a backup, so they can take alternate routes.
You know, there's.
You mean a dynamic message like the one I just showed earlier?
That wasn't your pen, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mount Zion.
Okay.
We have one there. It's a real time. It's a real travel time.
But he's talking about putting one before Brunswick, so that if the traffic on the other side of Brunswick, west of Brunswick on 340 is backed up, people can hop off in Brunswick.
So you're talking westbound?
Yes.
Westbound
Before Brunswick.
before Brunswick. So you want two dynamic message signs within a few miles of each other.
Sure.
It's not going to happen.
We wanted it near
And here's
Brunswick
why. I'll be
before,
honest.
but
I'll be
they
honest
put
with
it
you.
at least
I'm not going to dance around on this. It's money. I took hook and crook. I basically stole that DMS on the north side. The state did what it was. Okay? Yes. The one we have there now, just above Mount Zion Road, I didn't really steal it, but
Yes, you did. That was very honest.
I was creative. I was creative in getting that sign in. You know what it is, don't you? Don't you know what that sign is?
Well, I know what it is. I'm saying,
Those things are, there's a long line in the state of Maryland. People want these dynamic message signs. And we jumped the line.
How does that exactly work? Where does it trip at? I mean, in other words, where's the counter at to let you know traffic's moving?
Well, there is no counter. This is like,
You looked at me like I knew
It's human control.
This guy, he does know everything, he really does. But no, here's NRIMS. Your phones, the folks, it's mainly on commercial vehicles. Your DMS units, satellites pick up how fast those commercial vehicles are traveling, send a message to the satellite, sends a message that's down to DMS. Amazing. I mean, when I was told that, I was like, wow, this is like, cool stuff. It's really cool stuff.
Do you still have the camera on the bridge? Yeah, I know he had a...
Yeah, so that's how you do it. It's pretty amazing stuff. And it's even more prevalent. It's more not prevalent, it's more precise. The engineering is more prevalent than what it was just 2 years ago, because there's more of those DMSs and they're more precise in their calculations as far as where vehicle is. Yes, sir.
Can I bring up one thing that's totally off this topic that I bet you everybody in this room would like to see done? Coming out of Brunswick, you go around the last circle, you get on the on-ramp to 340 West. You race down to the bottom and you can't see the traffic coming from you because the ramp stops right there. It goes right on to 340. All you have to do is go on that rumble strip.
So you're saying it's a short merge?
It's no merge. There is no merge there.
Okay. We'll have to, we'll mention that to our District 7 office.
It'd be easy. We're paving the rumble strip with all the lines.
Yeah. Is there a 10-foot shoulder there?
Park on
Well,
it.
everybody goes off
They
the
think
shoulder. They have to.
they made a
Straddle
wrong
the
turn,
rumble
so they're
strip.
there with their map.
They park on the
They
340
park
West
right
at the end of the ramp?
right at the end of that ramp. It's scary. There's no place, there's no way to go.
I mean, you're asking for it. Oh, man. So there is a shoulder there. And if it was straight,
Well, they have a rumble strip.
The rumble strip all the way up.
We took the rumble strips out.
There may be other issues that we just.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that there is a
There may be
shoulder.
environmental concerns.
Let's time out here, folks. That's something that's beyond our control within the district, but we can certainly run a
We'll
park
share
district
it with
separate.
our neighbors.
And Tony had a good point. There's items there that we're not aware of. There could be a number of issues that we're just not aware of.
Well, one thing we always recommended, part of this corridor, and Doug Perry, I think, was one who recommended, was the half signal option in the Virginia signal. You know, more or less that the through traffic would continue to move, and when you come in at Harper's Ferry, is that Harper's Ferry? Yeah, you would have a left turn bay of your own, and you can merge in. But there's some issues that are on that side that we're not aware of, because, you know, thinking traffic engineer, it's a simple fix. And if you could alleviate that stop, that would help through traffic tremendously. And you'll still be able to turn left out of there, but I know what Virginia's looking at it, so we haven't really had any feedback on that option yet.
Yeah, we really didn't have a backup if they put that light in.
Yeah, exactly, but Virginia had, what, a mile and a half, that whole road? They probably wish they could give it away. I called their previous district engineer, and he wasn't even aware that was his road. But,
Well, even if Virginia looked at that light and restricted that left-hand turn at peak hours, there's no reason why they have to make a left turn. And then you can keep traffic moving straight.
but you'd be surprised how many people turn out of there. I sat down there and watched it, and they give them the maximum amount of
There's
time.
alternate routes in Virginia that they could, and not have to come down that way.
But that's-
To get to Charlestown.
We've
You know, the
unfortunately,
easier
Virginia.
fix would be to not make that a left-hand turn.
Yeah, when they do road construction over there without telling us, that
light is public deed. I can safely say, cautiously say, that traffic light at that intersection is probably the biggest contributor to why we're here tonight.
No question.
Guys,
It didn't happen until like, but if you restrict left-hand turn lanes, I mean, you still make a right, but not a left. And you just do it during hot peak traffic.
we can always mention that to Virginia delegates, so, and then we can talk to
There you
them.
go. We have another question, John.
Yeah, I think you ought to thank these three fellows for what they're doing, but I have a question. I want you to dig down deep in your heart. And I'm not digging back at you all. I know you're doing your best. And I'm doing my best. I'm 84 years old and I'm not going to quit. How many of you all are interested in a stoplight at Valley Road and Keep Twist coming over? Raise your hand. See, it shows me only one thing. There's 4 or 5 people. If the kids when the bus gets collided, we've had 5 people at the bank, you know, Jim Smith's wife, big person in the government. You know, the president of the bank got thrown up on top of the bank there. Because like you all say, you'll never slow him down. He had a big heavy Oldsmobile hit him and built him up dark and knows what happened. Halfway up the bank, the man in the Oldsmobile killed him. So I'm not that afraid anymore, but me and the man upstairs is going to keep on for the stoplight because now there's only 4 of you and 4 of them's in my family. So you all go right ahead and do what you want to do, but the stoplight will slow things up coming onto that road here and there and everywhere. So that's all I got to say, and I'm going to quit. Thank you, and you all keep on going. Whatever you do, I'll have to go along with this, but I think the light is the answer. When I'm laying over here in the graveyard, please come over and tell me that I was right.
Thank you, John. Okay, if that's all, we got some great ideas. We'll get back on that deceleration lane to Valley. Thank you for that. And the roundabout, I'm sorry.
This is, we're not committed to doing anything right now. That's why we have this meeting. And I'm glad this is the biggest turnout we ever had. Because half of you, at least 3/4, I've never met with before. So we need to have your feedback. The left turn option, I know previously there was I think it was a full median crossover at that intersection, and there was issues with primarily people turning left out of there. So we were looking at an option. This left turn was trying to help back with a few other groups, was trying to get them, home and off the road before the big backup. So that was one of the reasons we were looking at it. So
Well, that's actually a good option in the fact that if fire and rescue have to get down to that intersection and traffic is backed up, that's one of the few ways that they can actually access that intersection.
But yeah, I still have concerns though with, when I was out there and we opened it up, just sitting there and watching 2 lanes of traffic coming at, they were, and I know it's a single lane is easier to cross, but you're gonna create more problems with the amount of traffic in the single lane and congestion. So, you know, we're not making any decisions tonight. We'll go back and look at what we have. Yes?
When you do your traffic studies, instead of, I don't know if you actually try to get out of Valley Road to go eastbound on 340 in the morning at rush hour or in the evening during rush hour, try those. Instead of sitting, you know, on the side of the road and counting traffic or whatever, try to do it.
I got my red lights, so they usually get me
Well,
out.
see, you know what, share.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
We can all get red lights.
Yeah, red lights don't even work.
We can all get red lights.
But we, tell you what, I know it's difficult now sometimes.
You feel sometimes like you're taking your life in your hands because there's so many things going on at that intersection. There's a lot of things to look at and relook at and relook at before you can actually get up the nerve to.
That's why that buffer area gives you that, it's a single lane.
Exactly.
And that's the same concept, if it was a double lane, it'd be that much tougher to get out.
We had a couple more questions here.
I wanted to ask you what your method is to prevent the left-hand turn. You talked, there will be no left-hand turn out westbound.
Physically, they can't turn over.
Correct.
You'll see they'll be curved.
There's curbs.
Yeah, we'll put curb and guardrail so you will physically not be able to.
Well, we're not going to place guardrail.
No, from, now coming out of Keep Trucks.
Go left, yeah. We can show you, we got the roadway plans, we'll show you.
If people decide to jump over whatever physical barriers there, we'll just increase the barriers.
Make the jump higher.
Yeah, we'll just continue. If people decide to get their big truck and monster truck and ride over top the guardrail, well then, you know, we'll do something else. But we're not going to place guardrail at this time. We are placing physical barriers that are concrete.
Yeah, we did not want a lot of people to turn left. That was one of our, the only option was to get people that live in that area out of the backup street. That was only for the westbound direction. That was the idea of left.
Yes, sir.
The second lane on the Virginia side, is that on a timer, or is that sensing traffic when they're basically?
I believe it's a timer. That's on a timer, it's a sensor.
It's fairly new, they have detection. And it goes by different times of the day too.
Yeah, and that's
It's not timed.
I don't think it's, yeah, you'll see the cameras, but the old ones
Usually
have
it's
the.
4 minutes, it's a 4 minute.
Yeah, is it
4 minute
consistent?
delay.
Yeah, but certain times during the peak draw times, because I sat there and watched that left turn, it was pretty high, but the higher the left turn volume light, the worse it is on the through volumes. So. But that's Virginia's, that's their priority, and unfortunately, 340 is not. But there are options out there, though.
Mind you, we're doing the striping option because if there's an issue with it, we pull it up.
Well,
we're not taking the pavement out.
Let me back up to the striping option. We're looking at the striping option. We still haven't committed to doing this single lane approach either. So, but also with the striping option, one of the concerns are they're gonna ride out it anyway. So then, you know, we looked at the striping option, see work. We could go with the physical option or the delineators to keep them out there. So once we go back and regroup and evaluate all your comments with this one, remember, because yeah, I know the people still get out there sometimes, and they'll get frustrated with the truck, and they'll shoot right over in that straight lane and pass.
We were just trying to, we came up with the idea because we want you to be safe. Mind you, that single lane, you know, the mobility question is there with the trucks, but you also have Keep Trist Road. You take a right up Keep Trist Road. So that's another option. Okay, thanks all for coming out. And
Thank you.
do you have any questions?